We had a win, baby. Rebel News had a win in court today. We took on the burden of the entire media industry, and we won. You might have guessed it. It's regarding our challenge against the publication bans and how they were issued inside of the courts so that we could have more transparency and fight for freedom of press. Drea Humphrey here with Rebel News. So excited to chat with you guys, inform you, keep you up to speed with the outcome of our David and Goliath type fight. Rebel News was the only media to say, hey, something isn't right here in the courts regarding a case that gained international attention. If you've been following us at letusreport.com, you know that that case is about the BC father who got sentenced to 6 months in prison and a $30,000 fine after he warned other parents in a way that breached publication bans about his lack of parental rights when it came to the medical transitioning of his child without his consent. Now, these publication bans were a mess. They also made it next to impossible for me to give you the other side of the story. I had to walk on eggshells to do so, because if I messed up, I could too also end up behind bars. We hired a top-notch lawyer. We're right outside of his office. He's going to talk to you guys in a moment about the win we just had. His name is Kyle Bienvenu. And he even had a hard time at first getting these bans because they were in secrecy. Do you hear me, people? Nothing involving freedom of press should be in secrecy. So through the last 2.5 months, through a series of intense negotiations, new things that have come to light, we were actually able to get all parties to be agreeable to acknowledging that, yes, there is a flaw in how this was done in the courts, and there must be a change for freedom of press, baby. It's so exciting because it's a step in the right direction, especially when it comes to these cases that, the CBC, Global News, doesn't seem to want to talk about as far as the other side of the story, the lack of parental rights when kids have rapid onset gender dysphoria. And activist lawyers and activist doctors and activist school curriculums all come together to walk them out of your consent to, taking cross-sex hormones that make them sterile for the rest of their life. So we had a huge win today, but I want to stress that Justice Taman said today, thank you, Rebel News, basically. He said, thank you for bringing this matter to the courts. He acknowledged how important it was to the public as well as to the media, and yet Rebel News is the only one who did that. Even the opposing counsel for the child AB commended Rebel News for being public-minded, and the Attorney General recognized that there was, in fact, an issue here that needed to be sorted out. Now, please, if you guys have already been following this or you haven't or not, please go to letusreport.com. This is a very expensive case, and we are quite short for the donors that we need. You can look at the amount here. So we're just asking whoever can, donate what you can to help us recoup our out-of-pocket expenses for this case that was so important. It set everything in the right direction. And thank you so much for doing so and sharing this win with us. Now let's hear from Kyle himself. You guys, YouTube is trying to get rid of us. They've deplatformed us, and we know we're going to be taken off any second. You have to go to rebelnews.com. We need your phone number or your email so that we keep in touch. Woohoo! I'm here with Kyle and Raminder, who have been working so hard on this case. We had a win in court today. How are you feeling?
I feel great. It was definitely a win today. It was a win for Rebel News, and it was also a win for the open courts process and for the transparency of the courts. And that's a big win.
Now, you have been working so hard on this. You've done such a great job. Can you tell us a little bit, explain to everybody who's been following this, just some of the process of going through negotiations and getting to this point?
Yeah, because so little was known about the circumstances which gave rise to these publication bans before we brought the application. After the material was filed and we started receiving material from the other respondents, new information came to light which made it appropriate to start reaching out to the other side to see if there could be a compromise on some of the issues. And luckily, we were able to achieve that compromise on one of the more significant issues, being the open court, and having the publication bans made available to the public. In short order, the court will approve the form of the order, and the public will be able to see what exactly the court has ordered in this file.
I can't tell you how hard it's been to report, to try and have our hands clean with all of this and give people as much of the other side of the story as we can. So what does this mean for the future for these types of cases for freedom of press?
Well, whether or not this sets a precedent for other family law cases in which there is significant media attention, or whether it simply brings to light the importance of having publication bans made known to the public, there's certainly going to now be a very clear precedent that parties can follow, media can follow, to have publication bans made available. What was made clear today in the application was that Rebel News was not the only media outlet who was confused about what is and what is not appropriate to be published. Rebel News was the only party to do anything about it. And I think that should be commended and congratulated, and ultimately everyone, the public and the media, benefits from that result.
Absolutely. Well, thank you so much again. And this hard work doesn't come cheap. We could still use some help from you guys recouping some of the costs to hire these amazing lawyers. And thank you so much again.
Thanks, Rhea.
We just shed light on a dark hole that was hindering freedom of press, and we can't do it without you. Please go to letusreport.com, share this win with us, help us recoup some of the costs, and celebrate this win for freedom of press and your right to have the other side of the story with us. Drea Humphrey for Rebel News.